All right, we are recording. Now, today, what we're going to be talking about, we're going to go over text, scrolling text, hiding it and putting it behind an image and all that kind of stuff and having some fun with text on screen. The other thing that we're going to do is talk about a kind of like a slideshow. You can have a bunch of pictures or videos and stuff like that as a slideshow. So that's what we're going to show today, and I'm going to show you a little bit of that in OBS and how to make that work. We will show you, like, you can even make it like an intro, and that's what I called it on this one, but you will see, and let me get this turned on because I want that on. So that way I can draw on screen, and hopefully you guys will be able to see this and see what I'm doing, and I hope it works, but we'll see. All right, let me screen share. One thing I like to do anytime I do a live show, I start out with a black screen because YouTube sometimes snips in the beginning and snips at the end. So I try and have a blank screen, and you can see right here, I have the word blank. Let me, do you see that arrow on screen?
Yes, I do.
Oh, good. Okay. And Andrew, thanks for joining me anyway. All right. So I can erase that, go into edit mode. All right. So what I want to do is, so for example, this is what we're going to create. This is just two images, and I have a certain time that I have a duration between the two of those. And I just have those and I have it on a loop. So it's just going to go back and forth. So if you had a little bit of music or something and you wanted to just put this there for a couple seconds, and you could even have some text on screen, this is what it would look like. And then I have scene 2 set up here. This has my brick wall in the back with my see-through, and you can see Andrew on screen. And then I made that kind of ribbon looking thing, and I called it a ribbon, and that's just this piece right here. So it's kind of cool. I can have where the text actually goes back behind, and you can see it scrolling text. I have rolling text here. I can turn it off, turn it on. So that's what we're going to learn how to do today. So we're going to start from the get-go and see how all that works. So let's start off by going to a blank scene. We're going to call this, we'll call this one the intro with images. Okay. So we got a blank screen, and we're going to add some sources to that. So what I want to do is when I hit the plus sign down here, and hopefully you guys can see the plus sign. I hit the plus sign right here. This is how I add one. I also sometimes will right click. Well, maybe I will. Yeah. Add, and then I can add a source this way. So I can right click and do the same thing. And it says right here, image slideshow. That's what I'm going to do. We're going to do this intro 2. Since I've already created one, I'm going to show you how to do another one. So we'll call this intro 2. And always play even when not visible. You can turn that on or stop when visible, or pause when not visible. You have options there. It's self-explanatory on that. Slide mode, automatic, manual, that's with hotkeys, or automatic. You can set that up ahead of time. Transition fade, you can have this anything. You can have a swipe, slide. You have about 3 or 4 options, but fade is good. I like fade because it just goes in and out. And then time between slides. This is 8 seconds. 8,000 is 8 seconds, but you can make it, let's just make ours 4 seconds. Okay. Transition speed in milliseconds, time between slides. So this is 4 seconds between each slide. And then transition speed, I always do I like to make it a little bit faster. So I do about 3 seconds. Actually, this is probably good at 7 because you don't want it, you want it to sit there for a little bit. So let's just leave that 7, make that 3,000. And you can have it loop. Right now you can see the blue, you can make it loop. So it's just sitting there doing that, or you can just make it one time, depending on how many pictures you actually put in here. Now this is really cool. You can add files right here. You can add them one at a time. But if I hit that plus sign, add files, add directory, I'm going to add files. And I can go if I go to my Google Drive, let's just choose some pictures that I have here. Look, here's where I got them before, you can kind of see. But we're going to add our own. What's nice is I can add more than one. So if I want all 4 of these, I can just hit open, And looky there, they all come in. All 4 of them come in. So now I have all those images in there, and that's my loop. And I can change these at any time. I can take minus these. I can click this and hit the minus sign. I really didn't want the Arizona one. I can take that out. Okay. You have a gear wheel to go get as well. I mean, you can do the same thing to go get it that way, to edit it or whatever. I can hit OK. So now when I do this, one thing that I might want to do is I might want to make this bigger, because some of those images, I don't know if you saw that, you will see this one fits. It's the right size. This one fits. It's the right size. But we have one that's not. So you might want to adjust accordingly on all your images, or just get images that fit. That's my easiest suggestion to you, is just get the image that fit end to end. Because otherwise, like to make this one fit, I have to bring that out, and I don't necessarily want to do that because it's going to skew or mess up, not skew, but more of mess up the other ones, because now half of it's off screen on that image. So that's one thing, advice that I can give you. If you have a picture editing software, like I use Pixlr, that's free online, it'll make all of them the same size. So I wanted to show you that, but that's it. That's your intro. That's how quick and easy that is. You can have text that comes in. You could have all kinds of stuff right on that intro too. Hey, give us a few minutes. We'll be starting soon, or something like that. And then have it spread out and loop if you wanted to. Okay. But next one we're going to do is we're going to do that same thing where I did that ribbon. So we're going to try and do that one next. So let me go to scene 3. This is going to be, I'm going to call it ribbon. Hit OK. All right. So now we have to get all our normal stuff. We have to get our background. We have to get everything else. So this is the background that I want to add to this. Andrew, do you remember from last week how I would get that in here? Because I want to use that background. Do you remember? Just off the top of your head?
You go down and you hit the, what is it?
Plus
sign, and then you go over and pick background again, or can you pick it from the scenes thing and make it a source?
Yes, I can click the scene, and then I'm going to choose the background scene, and then boom, that puts that up for me. So I don't have to recreate. That's the nice thing about this. These are right now they're exactly the same, because I've chosen this background scene as one of my sources. So I don't have to recreate. That's kind of nice. All right, so while I'm in here, here's where I want to go get that ribbon. So I need to go find it, and I really don't know where it is. So I'm going to probably be searching all over the place. Oh, I don't have to. That's right. I can add an existing. So what I've done, so I'm going to go to ribbon. What I've done with this ribbon, I went and made this a transparent. This is a ribbon that I got, and I made it a transparent, and then I cleared out the middle. I just kind of took an eraser tool and cleared out the middle, because that's where I wanted the text. Now, it's limited to this. I mean, this is actually pretty good, but the problem is you might not see the text. So you have to kind of make this bigger. And the other thing is I can't edit here. I would have to edit in the software if I wanted to change this. But this is kind of cool how the ribbons come up over the picture.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a cool way of doing something like that. So that way you have, oh yeah, and I always teach lock the background so you don't move it, and you move this. But I can get it to where it's pretty good, not too bad. It's kind of off. For my liking, I would like these even from either way, but then I'd have to go back to this one, and I'd have to go to the background image, person 1, and I'd have to move you over to make sure that that fits in there. Notice that where I'm editing, I'm not editing on the one that's called ribbon, because if I do that, then that'll mess up that. So I want to do something like, let me get these even first. So that's about even. So I know that that image up there, I don't want to edit it. I can't really edit it here. I can't edit Andrew's image. All I can do is move the whole thing, and I have it locked so I don't move it. So let's go to background. But here I can. And I know I want to move it over.
You want to move it over. You want to move it a little over, so you hit that brick white line on the right-hand side. That's where the thumb is. So if you move it just a little bit more
A little
over,
bit more.
good. Yeah, go right. Yeah, right there. That should work.
All right. So there you go. So that's pretty good spacing right there. That's about where I want it. And with that little bit, what I would do is take the ribbon and just this is with my arrow keys on my keyboard, just move it slightly. And what I'm looking for is the top of the ribbon. If you can kind of see I'm trying to get this space and this space to match. That's what I'm trying to do. So with that, I think that's pretty close. If anything, I could go over maybe a smidgen of an arrow. If I select this, oops, that's too much. Then take the arrow keys on my keyboard. This is on a Windows machine now. I don't know what it is on. Boom, boom, right there. So that's pretty good. That's pretty close. I would live with that and be fine with it. Okay, so now this is a layer. If you can see here, I got the background and then the layer. I got those two things. I'm done working with ribbon right now. I want to lock it. Okay, now I'm going to lock it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get some text, and this is really kind of cool. Right down here it says text GDI plus. That's the one you want. I'm going to go get that. Text GDI plus, and there's one already called rolling, but I'm going to create one just so you can see how I make it rolling. So we're going to go with new text. Okay. And then I can choose a font. Okay, so if I want to select, I don't want to get it too whacked out because when you do that, it starts to you remember your readers are trying to read this kind of fast. So you don't really want to go, actually I kind of like that. That's fine. We'll try this one just to see what it looks like. We'll try that font. And let's just say, this is for the demo on our workshop in tinkering with text. Okay, so there's my text. I have it all set. Okay, you can change colors, select a color. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. You can have a background color. We don't need a background color for it. Align left top. We're not going to do any of that because here's what we're going to do. We're going to hit OK. We're going to see where it goes. It's way up here. If you can see up at the top, it automatically puts it at the top. I don't know if you guys can see that up here.
Yep.
That's where it put the text. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring it and we're going to resize it first of all. I want it the size. That's pretty good. Okay, that's pretty good. And I actually, with these colors and that brick, since there's some white in the brick, I'm going to probably want to change the color. So let's change the color. Let me right click, properties, and I want to change the color to black. Select color. Actually, let's select, this is kind of cool, black. Okay, hit OK. Now let's try it. Yeah, that's better. I like that a lot better. Okay, so I want this to actually go up underneath. So I'm making sure that T goes up underneath. The only thing is these words are over top, and even if I move the text, you can see that the text now, but because it's behind the background, didn't mean to put it behind the background, and put it in between those two. Just get my fingers, get a little, they're still a little, okay. So now if you look though, the problem is here is the text is showing to the right-hand side. So what I have to do is I have to bring this over, and I want to hold down the Alt key. In OBS, we hold down the Alt key and we bring it over until we get to about where we want to be. This is, so I can go off right there. That's good. And I want to do the same thing here, bringing it right into the middle. That's good. So now this text is going to smoothly go underneath, which is kind of cool. All right. And one thing you might want to do too is remember, you don't want to cut off everything there. So you want to kind of get that as close you can on this side, on the left-hand side. That's where it's important. This side on the right doesn't matter because it's sliding in. But here's what we want to do. So this new text, I want it to scroll. So I right click, filters. I'm going to filters this time. Then I'm going to add a filter. And do you see where it says scroll right here? Right down near the bottom, it says scroll and then sharpen or whatever. So we're going to scroll. I'm just going to leave it scroll. And what's cool is you can see right here what it's going to do. So I can take the horizontal speed and just take it real. I'm going to move that very slowly. See how slow that is? But I want it going the other way. That's a minus. This is a plus. This is plus 10. That's really slow. If you want it that slow, you remember we got a small box that we're having people read, so that might be slow enough. But I'm just showing you can make it this fast. Okay? But remember, you're trying to not make this distracting. This isn't this, you might leave this on the whole time on this particular scene. So you don't want this to be a distraction. You want it more pleasant. And like I said, you can manually put this in too. I can make this 10.00 and move to it, and boom, there.
Question.
Yeah.
I noticed while that's scrolling, it says tinkering with tinkering. It is for the demo of our workshop. Should you put 3 or 4 spaces after the end of the thing so it doesn't all scroll as one long line and it starts and stops each sentence? Okay.
You're ahead of the game, because that was my next thing. Because right here, what he's saying is this is great, but the problem is tinkering is where I started, right? Or is it in this tinkering text? This is for the, see where this is? So you have to have a pause between there. So that's where I have to go back, right click on the text, properties, because remember I'm going to the text. And then what I do is I put a bunch of spaces right afterward. Probably enough spaces to where it starts over. And that looks pretty good. See how that starts over? That's probably distant enough. So boom, here's where we go. And if you notice also when you do re-edit, see how it's coming from that side? Again, we have to re-edit this right side. So let's do that. Oops. Actually, I'm changing the size, aren't I? I want to change this. Because remember, I added all those spaces. So now I had to move and shrink this down, crop it down. Actually, I don't need to shrink it down. I need to do the side, because I'm not holding Alt. Just figured it out. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to get that left-hand side because that's the most important to me. And then I can come to about right there, and then I can resize, because I want that text to be pretty big and about right there in the middle. Now I can Alt, bring that over. Now, so now when it gets back to the beginning, tinkering with text, the last thing you see, and then boom, it should start back up. See, that might even be a little bit too far if you wanted to keep it continuous, but this is good. This is for the demo. So now you can see all the layers properly. So you can see the ribbons on top, then the new text, and then the background. So that's a key thing too, right? Because if the new text was above it, then it would be on top of the purple. That's not what you're trying to get. That is how you do text. And the intro images in the slideshow, that's how you can do that, where it starts from the beginning and goes, and you have it, and you can go and it'll swap and do each image accordingly. And I remember you can make it loop. So if you go to properties, you can make it loop so it continues until you're ready. If you have it set to 2 pictures and then it'll just stop on the last picture. So that's the things you can do there. Ribbon, there's that. Any questions on what we covered at all today, Andrew?
Yeah, one.
Okay.
Can you put, like you've got that picture of the Sydney Opera House up, okay? Can you put a scrolling text across it and then a different scrolling text on the next picture that comes up?
You could, but it would have to be timed.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking, if you wanted to identify what the picture was, you could put.
Remember, the text is added to the slideshow, so it's to the complete slideshow. So it's not for the individual picture. Okay,
so if you wanted to do the picture, you'd actually have to insert text on the picture if you wanted to identify it as the Sydney Opera House or
That's right.
the Leaning Tower or whatever. Okay.
That's right. Now, what you could do though is you could have. That's an interesting question. What you could do is you could have where you could have a bunch of different text, okay? And you could have like one text that just slides in from the right to the left and boom, stops and says Sydney Opera House, and then it goes away. Then when the next picture comes in, it'd have to be timed. You could have another text image that says this is whatever, but you'd have to, and you wouldn't want to loop them then. It'd only give them the first time you did it. You know what I'm saying? Unless you could really elaborately do, but that's a lot of extra work. I would just, if you really want them to know what it is, I would just
label the picture.
Yeah, just take the picture and add the label into your editing software out there. That's probably what I would do in that particular case. But great. That's a good question. And if there is a way to do that, I mean, there might be a way to do that. I don't know what it is, though, because you may be able to filter. Well, you'd have to add the text somehow. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know how you would do that without doing a timed thing. You'd have to know exactly every time or every second how long that lasts. And all that kind of stuff. So I don't know.
I just thought of that. It just popped into my head. You know how I think.
Yeah, no, that's fine. All righty. Any other questions?
Nope.
All righty. Sounds good. If anybody's rewatching this later, if you have any questions on this or you want to touch base on this, we can always go over it again. Thank you, Andrew, for taking time out of your Saturday to do the workshop. I appreciate it. And you folks, I hope this is helpful to you. This will be in the community website, so you'll see it there. And look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. We will see you. Stopping recording.